Wellington was pretty horrendous. It was a bit treacherous here, anchored outside Oriental Parade, and this was our track last night as we were sleeping, and the winds were terrible, over 40 knots, gusting over the city. It was pretty full on. Did you guys sleep okay?
Yeah, I didn't really notice it.
You didn't really notice? Oh, and there's so much jerking in the boat when we pull back on our anchor, and we've been sailing on the anchor heaps. Like, we're never still. And that's just been what it's been like for the last 2 days. So Wellington really is living up to its windy reputation.
In a brief break in the weather, Mum took us to Te Papa, New Zealand's national museum, where we lost a good 3 hours.
The Mosasaurus.
No, it's just a mosasaur.
Chase just dug to find its teeth and its head. Reef's going to the tail end. We're at Te Papa at the moment, having a great time, aren't we? Weather's terrible, but we've been inside most of this afternoon. We've just come outside to dig for mosasaurs.
I am trying to make an electric engine. So here are my 2 magnets that I'm going to use. Very small but very powerful. So this is a lump of steel that I'm going to wrap some copper wire around. I don't know what I'm going to use with the brushes. So.
And you just got a box full of stuff that you can pull apart?
Lots of stuff.
Okay. Even Dad's old drone controller?
Yeah.
Awesome. And a fan. Good luck, mate.
And a radio.
And a radio. What has Zeffy done to your face?
I'm anger.
From the Emoji Movie?
No,
from Inside
Out.
Oh, that's quite freaky. Zeffy. Could you make it like happy instead of anger?
No, it's so much more interesting. While in Wellington, we dined at our favourite teppanyaki restaurant.
So right now, we don't look like we're going to head to Fiji, or we're not sure because there's too many COVID cases coming on a daily basis.
Yeah, because so cruises are still being able to go into Savu Savu, aren't they? But they're just not allowed to go anywhere else. They can stay in Savu Savu and look around that island.
Yeah, but
or can they even go around that island?
Because you're only allowed to disembark from the port that you arrived in.
Yes. So there's still heaps of people wanting to go though, isn't there, at Opua?
Yeah.
We're just not one of them yet because we're not there.
Just pulling the lines in and getting the fenders tied up, and we're just going to put them on the trampolines. It's supposed to be a fairly calm trip up to Napier, and then we'll need them again as soon as we get there. Unless it gets pretty shitty, we'll just leave the fenders out, tied down.
And we just went and filled up with fuel and water this morning?
Yeah, because we know that the fuel dock in Napier is it's a real commercial one. It's nothing, don't really want to go up against it unless you have to, so better off putting the fuel in here, putting a little bit more in here, and then we shouldn't have to do it again.
And because our water maker is, it's an interesting tale, that one.
Yes, the water maker's broken. Yeah.
And we've replaced stuff we didn't need to.
Yes, we replaced the membrane that was fine but didn't realise, so it had an end cap that had a hairline crack in it on the water maker, which you couldn't see, and to be honest I didn't even think that was possible.
We're just chipping away at the distance of the North Island on the east coast, and our final destination will be Opua, so we can make a decision as to whether we're going to go offshore again for this season. We had a very small weather window to get ourselves up from Wellington to Napier over the last sort of 34 hours, and it was pretty rough actually as we came out. No wind, but at least 3 metre seas the whole way up the coast, and there's nowhere to sort of nip in and get shelter along that sort of lower North Island coast. It was pretty foul, and I'm back to my vomiting ways. Priya also felt rather grotty, and the rest of the family pretty much fell down as well. The only person that doesn't ever get seasick in our family is Reef, and he just bounces around as though nothing's happening, and he bounces off waves, so he likes to get to the crest of the wave as we're about to fall down, and he leaps in the air trying to be levitated for as many seconds as he can before he has to come down again. Nuts. Absolute nuts. But this is the morning we've woken up to, and we're just about to go around Cape Kidnappers, which will take us into Hawke's Bay and then straight into Napier Marina.
We didn't stay in Napier long as the weather allowed us to move further north.
Leaving Napier, and it's always a bit tricky just trying to get past the entrance to a port. Just got to keep checking that there's no ships planning to come out as you're about to cross the channel to get in and out. Looks like no one's being very active today. Lots of ships out in Hawke's Bay waiting to come in. I think they do most of their movements overnight so that the boats can be loaded and unloaded during the day. And we're going to push north and hopefully along the way just make some decisions about what on earth we're going to do this winter, and whether we're going to try and go to Fiji or whether we're going to keep pushing to try and go to Australia, which is not an easy feat. With Australia, Border Force is still being quite forceful really, and keeping their borders firmly closed to New Zealand vessels. We don't exactly have a compelling reason to need to get into Australia, which is fair enough. But Queensland is saying that you're going to apply for an exemption to get in without quarantine, which is amazing, if you could just get your exemption to get into Australia in the first place. So there's a few, I guess you could call them agents in Australia that are working with a few boats to see if they can get them in. But I don't know whether we're going to go down that track or whether we're going to go to Fiji with its COVID issues at the moment. It's a really tough decision to make. And we just know we don't really, if we can help it, be in New Zealand for the whole winter. Only because this is home, you know, like there's nothing wrong with New Zealand. We just lived here for a very long time. It's time to get going. So, hey, we'll just see what happens and take it as it comes. So we've decided to stop at Great Barrier Island just because we won't get into Whangarei until dark, and I'm not keen on going in the harbour in the dark. So we're going to stop in this island.
This is Tryphena.
Tryphena? Oh, we've heard about it, haven't we?
Yeah, we have.
But just never been.
Never been, so we're going to go this afternoon.
Yeah, get up early tomorrow morning, head across to Whangarei. Yeah, wind's going to pick up too, isn't it?
Yeah, so we should be sailing pretty close to the wind, I expect, to get across there. Red sky in morning, sailor's warning. Red sky at night, sailor's delight. What kind of day do you think we're going to have, Dave? I don't know, I think it's going to progressively get windier.
Well, it's supposed to, isn't it? We're hoping to actually be able to sail this last part.
Here we are.
Anyway, we're loving this. This is excellent sailing. It's just under that 20 knot mark where we'd need to start thinking about doing something with our sails, but at the moment we're comfortable as is. I've got my normal sailing attire on. This winter jacket. And my slippers. You're not a true sailor unless you sail in your slippers. Gosh, this wind is awful. There's another cat sitting out there. We all came into the nook for a bit of shelter.
Oh yeah, alarm, 36, 35, 34.
Good boy.
Can you make an interesting alarm noise? Can you like sing if it gets above 35?
Yeah.
Okay.
How big did it get? 50.
Oh, got up to 50.
One.
And there were big whirlywinds out there. It's horrible. This is like day 3 of cabin fever.
It'd be pretty funny if you saw like a pig flying past.
A pig. I did see a gannet that was really struggling to go into wind. This is essentially the worst weather we've ever had. And our cushions just flew straight off the boat. So Dave's going to go and rescue them. And they just ripped straight off the front of the boat. We've been getting winds up to 50, 60 knots here. The Nook. That served us well for the last 3 days. It was a horrendous blow. It's just been battling the top of the North Island and we just got horrendous winds. But we were well dug in this morning. The anchor came up with a little bit of reluctance, didn't it, Dave?
Yeah, first time we've had to drive off the anchor.
Yeah, we did. We had to sort of give it a bit of a nudge. But that's all right, we're off now. And we're going to whip round just outside Marsden Point, or Marsden Cove Marina, and just get someone to look at our sails briefly. And then we'll sit tight for the night. And looks like we might be off first thing tomorrow morning on our last drive north to Opua, where we will, I guess, have to make a final decision as to where we're going to go for the winter to escape this cold, miserable weather. Once anchored, our sailmaker jumped on board to check over our sails. Dave dropped him back to the marina and returned with an essential latte. Then our friend Kostya showed us how to wing foil. It's pretty rough.
Yeah, it's just between because we're going around Cape Brett, and so we're between the hole of the rock and the mainland, and the swell's coming straight in from 90 degrees to the side of us, and so we're getting buffeted quite badly. And
Well, it's rough anyway too, isn't it?
yeah, and it's just really increased just in this very small bit here. So, but
It's one hell of a rock though, I wouldn't want to hit that.
yeah, you don't want to hit any of those.
Oh, feels good to be back here though. But we're just going to go in past Urupukapuka Island, which we've been to many times before. And are we going to anchor there or are we going further?
Don't know.
I don't know. Probably, we're just a bit worried about going into Opua and it being dark. And we just have to go and find somewhere to anchor in the dark. But I mean, it's not as if we haven't anchored there numerous times before. Need to get the rest of the boat ready to go offshore. And actually we need to make the final decision as to whether we're going offshore or not. We keep talking about it, but we just don't seem to get to the final decision. But I don't know, maybe in the next few days we'll concrete something in.
Mum and Dad decided that we would sail to Fiji. So organised our Cat 1 inspection, a trip to Auckland for COVID tests. Then we wait anxiously for our approval into Fiji.